my goodness. I am so excited. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday and welcome. Welcome to In the Now with Simone Smith. So, a couple things. Like, did you see that intro? So, you know what? I'm always, the one thing about our show that's going to be a little bit different is I'm always going to be very interactive with the people in here because they are like 80% of why I'm even here right now. So, my intro, thank you, Grant, for my intro. That is sick. It is a beautiful, beautiful intro, and it allows obviously people to see the level of professionalism I'm on now. I don't have a tie, so I can't really do the whole, thing. But anyhow, welcome everybody to In the Now. In my studio with me, obviously, I have my engineer Jordan, who's going to be making sure that I look good and making sure that I sound good. Jordan, I'm good. All right. And of course, I have Mr. Dave Rankin always there assisting. All right, all right. So he is going to be arming the Facebook page. He's going to be arming the YouTube page. And as of this week, he's going to also be arming the Periscope page. So we're on a Periscope now as well, everybody. So yeah, there's a lot of places for you to not subscribe for sure to the YouTube, but definitely comment. This show is geared to be very interactive. Last week was our very first show, and we got into the idea of news, media, and what drives news and media. We also start to look at the psychological part of it. And today, most of today is going to be based more so on that. Now, of course, I have a love for psychology, which is why when I was asked to do this show, I thought it'd be awesome because, again, I get to do some research. I'm a research head. I like to find out the truth behind things. And not only the truth behind the news, but obviously the truth behind the behavior of the people in the news. We sometimes never know truly what's happening in the back of. But you know what? I'm going to have to call out Jordan right now. Jordan, you got my timer off, bro. Yep. Calling you out. Wait, you look good? Okay.
Thirds, that's fine. Okay. But if you want the timer, I can take out the lower thirds.
Listen, again, this is the fun that we have here. So last week, to kind of catch you up to date, we went through some examples of propaganda, and that was the big word that we were focusing on, was that word propaganda. To many, it's a very filthy, dirty word. It's mostly associated with Hitler. Usually people put Hitler and propaganda together, not realizing that there's someone actually behind that word, someone a little bit stronger, and he is the father of public relations, Mr. Edward Bernays. We spoke about him a little bit last week, and this week we're going to go into more details. Now, again, this is a news show. This isn't more of an education show in that sense. But before I really start to go into the news, which I'll be doing in the new year, I do think it's important that I let people know about what's going on behind that screen, because we just stare at it. We don't know what's going on behind there. So we're going to start getting into what's going on behind there. Why are we so glued to our screens? Why do we, well, you know those times when you see that McDonald's hamburger and all of a sudden you start craving McDonald's? Or you'll see a Hallmark card commercial and then there's this, instantly there's a moment that comes to your mind or something you remember about that. Like, what is it about these ads and media that makes you, it almost like tugs on your emotions? What is it? Well, there's something behind that. So, of course, tons of notes today. I'm going to get through what I can. And of course, any questions you have or comments, please do leave and we will get back to you. Propaganda is the book that I'm going to be focusing on today. And Propaganda was written and published in 1928. What was very interesting about this book is the fact that a lot of the things that are utilized and were utilized back here, that's it, yeah. They are still, you know what I find interesting about this cover, actually, to talk about this a little bit, is the fact that it shows a bunch of sheep. And this was exactly how Edward Bernays thought of us as people in general, people, the common people. We were sheep. He thought we were just a bunch of senseless people who needed to be controlled. Because if we weren't controlled, then we just run around in a frenzy and not know what to do with ourselves. So because of this way, his way of thinking, he actually launched a campaign that has lasted for years. It actually became commonly known as public relations. But what a lot of people don't realize is public relations and propaganda are the exact same word. Euphemisms. It just sounds a little bit better. Now, a lot of people don't know about Edward Bernays, but if you've taken any type of public relations class or business class, I'm sure you're aware This book, Propaganda, is about 159 pages long. It took me about 3.5 hours to read this book. It is slightly repetitive, but I wanted to share some of the stuff out of that book because, again, what I want you to start doing going forward from this day on is when you are watching anything, whether it's an ad for Nike, whether it's an ad for Zare, or an ad for any type of clothing line or food, I want you to pay attention to the messages that are being sent to you and understand that sometimes, even though you think you are making a choice in selecting something, you're not. Your choice has already been made for you and you don't realize it. But now, with an awareness, you can probably realize a little bit more. So let's go into some of this information. So, of course, Edward, I'm going to be giving you the page numbers in the book. So if you want to reference anything, again, I'm going to list the page numbers. And if you have any questions, again, please comment or ask questions. So he said that we are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes are formed, our ideas are suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. I found that kind of interesting. The fact that, again, many of us think that we make our own selections and decisions in life. And in this book, he basically breaks down the fact that we are not in charge of what we think and believe, especially when it comes to our consumption, our buying, what we really think we're making big decisions on. Even the house you buy, you think that you're controlled by that and you're not. That's already been picked for you and you were almost like sheep. You were governed to go in that direction. So it's, again, understanding what's happening behind the scenes and what's actually happening to you with you not even knowing about it. So women, I think we're kind of targeted the most because of the fact that we are very much caught up in the beauty industry, especially here in North America. But that doesn't mean that that's not happening everywhere. This is also happening in other parts of the world. Africa, for sure, I know this happening. It happens in China, it happens everywhere. There's this drive for women to consume, especially when it comes to clothing, beauty products, all those type of things. So thousands of women may unconsciously belong to a sorority which follows the fashion set by one society leader. So I'm going to go into this. That's on page 17. I'm going to go into exactly what that quote means when we come back on In the Now.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Happy holidays as well. We have our nice little holiday insignia behind me. I love it. Fireplace. Dave, this idiot, tells me how I can't get close to the fireplace because I'm going to get burnt up. Listen. I don't want to get burnt in the virtual fire. If you guys are just joining us, we are actually following up from last week where we were speaking about the infamous Edward Bernays, and the topic today is propaganda. Now, what I did is I had a chance to actually, myself, and I have a new intern, Mrs. Chelsea. She did a great deal of work for me as well. we both were, I gave her homework, and my homework this week was to read through that book and get through it. And once I got through it, obviously I was going to take out the important information and share it with you guys, because I want you guys going forward to be a little bit more analytical about what you are ingesting on your day and how it's affecting your behavior, okay? So we left off talking about women and our need to consume, especially when it comes to like products. And one of the things that he said was the fact that a lot of our fashion decisions are decided by like one person, like one society leader. And if you think about it, that's very true. I have a picture there it's an ebony, and it's with Gabrielle Union. Once we have like, obviously we have like movie stars and we have actresses and we have singers, and usually when they set a tone, everybody follows. Yeah, I thought it was a really good picture. She's actually really pretty. So they'll throw up a picture of someone in an outfit, and then all of a sudden, a lot of us, especially if the person is a leader, someone that you recognize, we want to go and do that. Like the whole idea of Louboutins. Cardi B had to say that, I think, once about her red bottoms, and then obviously like red bottoms were there ahead of her, but like she made it even more so popular, right? So it's an example of how, again, one person can determine everything, and even that one person's controlled by someone else. Like she bought those red bottoms because someone else told her to, or someone else who had money told her to. So there's a lot going on there. So he said that it is the purpose of this book to explain the structure of the mechanism which controls the public mind, and to tell how it is manipulated by the special pleader who seeks to create public acceptance for a particular idea or commodity. So basically shortening all of that, what he's trying to say is that the book that he actually wrote, he was saying, I'm going to give you the information. And this is the thing about information. If you don't know about it, like, it leaves you in a state of ignorance, of course. And in this case, he actually told us that I'm going to tell you guys how this whole idea of manipulation and propaganda and public relation works. Now, a lot of people, I'm sure, don't even know about this book. I'm also going to, regardless of if I get through all of this, I'm going to talk about another special example, and it was really, I had to pull it out. It's I showed it to Dave a few months back, and the name of it is called The Secrets of Selling a Negro, which came out in 1954. Now, the reason I'm going to talk about that briefly when we get to it is because it is such a great example of public relations, and how they broke it down was sure. The title is The Secret of Selling a Negro. It's actually a snippet. It's only about 20 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube. It was made in 1954. And I'm telling you right now, if you get a chance, again, 20 minutes, that will change your life. It's interesting what they did and how they did it. All right. So propaganda, they said, is the executive arm of the invisible government. Now, who is this invisible government? Now, we all like to speak of, now not we all, but we've all heard the conspiracy, and a lot of us know better. You hear the word Illuminati, and instantly there's this idea of like, well, I don't know what people have ideas of. I don't want to put it into your head. But they're saying that it's a secret society that basically controls the world. So when they're talking about this invisible government, I don't know if Bernays was necessarily talking about them per se, but I know he was basically saying that there's a very few amount of people in this world who control the information that we get. And whether you believe it or not, again, a lot of us are brainwashed. Like, it is what it is. Like, don't take offense to it. It's just the reality of what it is. And he explains all of that in the book. So he goes on to talk about a definition of propaganda. And this definition comes from the Folk and Wagnall's dictionary. This is on page 21 of the book. So the very first one, there's 4 of them. Actually, there's 4, but I only put down 3. The first one was, and there's a picture of this, it's propaganda is defined as a society of cardinals, the overseers of foreign missions, also the College of the Propaganda at Rome, founded by Pope, I can't read my own writing, Pope Urban is what I have, in 1627 for the education of missionary priests. I mentioned this last week that I found it really interesting that the word propaganda was associated with the priesthood and Christianity, basically Catholicism. It's interesting that that word's even connected to them. So again, I'm not going to go too much into that. I just want you to make your own, make up your own mind about what that's about. But the word propaganda is connected to Christianity in a huge way. Okay? Catholicism, more specifically. So the second definition was any institute or scheme for propagating a doctrine or system. So any institute or scheme for propagating a doctrine or a system. The only one that really does come to mind, I'm sorry, again, I'm going to have to go there, would be religion, and that's the churches. Churches, synagogues, mosques, they're institutes, and they have a doctrine and a system. It is what it is. Number 3, so the third definition is effort directed systematically toward gaining public support for an opinion or a course of action. So this could be considered like any of those commercials you see that talk about giving to some type of donation. As great as the donation is, now again, propaganda is not bad, but it can be utilized in the wrong way. With those type of examples, though, like where you're giving to breast cancer, or if you're giving to, any type of charity, those, I guess you would say, are considered good propaganda. But again, it's still the idea of gaining public notice about something and putting something in someone's mind, planting that seed. So propaganda, he said on page 22, is a perfectly legitimate form of human activity. So there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with propaganda. Again, the only thing that makes any tool dangerous is how you use it. So a pencil is a pencil, but it becomes dangerous if you use it to stab somebody, right? So the same thing with propaganda. Propaganda is a tool that can be used to, obviously, in a form like this, I'm in a way using propaganda to put out the news about propaganda, right? So depending on how you're doing it is how it should be viewed, okay? So one thing that I noticed when reading the book is, how do they get us to believe or do something? How do we do some of these things unconsciously? So one of the things that they do is they use leading experts. So there's a Latisse eyelash picture that I would like you to throw up for me, Jordan. Just as an idea of some, is it Latisse? Did I say it wrong? All right. So here's a great example. Again, a leader in society, and they like to use politicians and doctors. So I know everybody knows those late night commercials that come on, and you see the person, I'm gonna use the herpes commercial because that's excuse me. That's the one that I can think of most right now, is that they'll have a picture of someone strolling merrily down the street because they've taken some pill. I don't know what's wrong with my throat. 1 second. Excuse me. I do apologize. So they'll have someone running down the street. I don't know what's going on with my voice. Sorry. You know what? We are going to go to a commercial until I get my voice back. Sorry about that, everyone.
This holiday season, be sure to pick up your copy of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper and check out all the specials from local businesses right here in our community. Help build a bigger, better, and stronger community with your support. Happy holidays from the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. Available at your favorite Caribbean location or online at torontocaribbean.com.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
All right, I am back, and I think I'm better now. I don't know what happened, but Dave, thank you. Dave got me some water, so I'm better now. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining me, we are speaking about propaganda today. And I was just finishing talking about, before I got I don't know what happened to my voice, but anyways, we were talking about that herpes commercial. I have to go back there. So yeah, you'll see the person running and happy and everything. And of course, they have this doctor that says, if you take this pill, you're going to feel much better. And of course, it's promoted by, FDA. So they put some type of legitimacy behind it. And it's a way to, of course, make you, of course, believe that, yeah, this drug is going to actually help. And then, of course, you don't listen to the 1,001 side effects that it has, and you get the drug anyways. So let's continue on with this book, Propaganda. Again, this book came out in 1928. And Mr. Edward Bernays basically said in this book that he was going to teach us, I love that beautiful book, The Sheep. That's, of course, how he thinks of us. But he was going to teach us, first of all, how he thinks of us and how we got this way and how we've been controlled for years. So modern propaganda is consistent, enduring effort to create or shape events to influence the relations of the public to an enterprise, idea, or group. So again, this is something that is consistently happening. It's been happening, and he's saying this in 1928, guys. So some examples that he gave were the building of a church, endowing of a university. And if you think about some of these, marketing a motion picture, that one's huge. Marketing a motion picture. So I don't know if anyone noticed, and Dave, maybe you can help me out with this one. They came up with a movie. What is it called? 12? Do you remember what it's called? 12 something. You know which movie I'm talking about, though, right? And the movie's a war movie, and it's about when they went into Afghanistan. Do you remember? We saw it last night. Anyways, so there's a movie called 12 that's coming out. I can't believe if it's 12 soldiers or 12 something, but in this movie, do you remember now? Okay. So I found it interesting that they came up with a movie about war at this time, especially when all this stuff is happening with Korea and with America and with Trump. I found it very interesting that movie came out now. But these are examples of propaganda, okay? Electing 12 strong. Thank you. You see, this is why I have a team. 12 strong. So that movie was I just saw my first promo for that. And it's example of, again, what we were saying, how they're using the times and they're showing you what's happening. And they're putting it in your mind that war is about to happen. So when war does happen, don't be too surprised. Of course, electing of a president. We all know how that works. That is straight propaganda at its greatest and best. It's probably used in the political field just as much as it's used in advertising. So the important thing is that it is a universal and it's very continuous. And its sum total, it is regimenting the public mind every bit as much as an army regiments the bodies of a soldier. So what they're saying here is that propaganda has a way of basically getting your mind controlled in a way, just like how they do with soldiers. Like they have to get the soldier's mind into a certain way of being before they go and fight. You have to have a mentality. And propaganda is doing the same thing to us, just obviously in a different way. And it's obviously filtering us towards doing different things, not war, being a sense. I had a picture, but it's not working, so we're not gonna. It was a Call of Duty picture. Also, even the games that they put out, other forms. So again, it's consistent. So anyone that has sufficient influence can lead sections of the public, at least for a time,